Make America Great Again. With this slogan, Donald Trump ran for election. And with it, he won. The 47th President of the USA set a goal to end all wars. However, certainly there is something else in his statements. He wants, in his vision, the United States to unconditionally lead the world in every aspect, for his country to be respected and perhaps a little feared. Make America truly and undoubtedly great again? Trump has everything for this. First and foremost, military power. The armament of the United States is admired. Allies want it for themselves. And enemies very much do not want it used against them. To talk about all the military power of the USA, even an hour-long program wouldn't be enough. However, we will still try to tell and show why jokes with the United States are not a good idea. And we will start with my favorite part, aviation. The USA pays enormous attention to aircraft. In connection with the Russian-Ukrainian war, everyone has already seen what F-16 planes are capable of. However, it should not be forgotten that these fighters are already outdated for the USA. The Fighting Falcon is a fourth-generation aircraft, whereas the Americans have long since moved on to the fifth generation. The F-16s have been replaced by the F-35s. Exactly a year ago, the Americans built their 1,000th such fighter.
Now, all branches of the military, such as the Air Force, the Army, which includes ground forces, the Marine Corps, and the Navy, will all have a unified type of aircraft, the F-35.
This fighter is rightfully called the most coveted tactical aircraft in the world. Everyone dreams of acquiring it, but not everyone succeeds. The F-35 embodies the functions of 3 aircraft on a single platform. The maximum speed of the fighter is 1906 km per hour, and its combat radius is about 1,000. It has the latest avionics, a multifunctional radar that effectively operates against both air and ground targets, and also the helmet.
That is, there is also a helmet-mounted targeting system. What does this mean? The aircraft flies forward, and the missile is guided left or right by the pilot's head movement. It can turn all 90 degrees or even initially launch forward, then turn and fly towards the target that is pursuing the F-35.
All information from the external sensors of the F-35, including 6 thermal imaging cameras, is displayed on the helmet-mounted display. It highlights targets in the air and on the ground, friendly units, and so on. Moreover, it monitors the pilot's health status. And although the F-35 aircraft seems like the ultimate dream, the US has an even more powerful fighter, the future foundation of United States aviation. In fact, this aircraft even looks like it came from the future. We're talking about the B-21 radar. It is expected to single-handedly ensure the dominance of the American armed forces in the air. However, much information about it is simply classified. But that's not surprising, considering for what, or more precisely against whom, the B-21 was developed.
The aircraft is not for Europe, to fight in Europe or to fight in Africa countries. They're all small. Here I'm counting on such large countries as China and Russia. You can fly in, fly for a long time, conduct the bombing, both with conventional weapons and nuclear.
Americans spare no expense on airplanes, but they are not their special love. The military might of the USA is unimaginable without helicopters. Countless Hollywood movies have been released where the main roles were played by Black Hawk or Apache. Despite being created decades ago, they are constantly being modified. As a result, helicopters often determine the outcome on the battlefield, especially the attack Apache. For Russia, it is a formidable force. After all, it was created precisely against Soviet equipment. The Putin army is still fighting with such equipment to this day.
This helicopter was created for a full-scale war against the USSR to counter its tank invasion. And in 1984, when the operational AH-64A DOS began to enter the army, the US Army received an effective mobile anti-tank tool specifically for the European theater of military operations. The Apache was created specifically for this purpose, not for low-intensity conflicts.
Agreed with aviation alone. You can't win a war, although I wouldn't be so sure about this thesis when it comes to the USA. But even if that's the case, the United States can also boast ground military power. For example, a ground Apache called the Striker A1 AIM SHORAD. When we say that it is a ground Apache, it's no joke. The Striker indeed received an arsenal of weapons from the legendary attack helicopter, including Hellfire and Stinger missiles. Of course, the Striker won't go against a tank, but that's not its task. The Striker's target is more about drones, whose development has recently reached a completely new level. But for tanks, the US has something else. The already well-known to Ukraine, the Abrams.
Today, the M1. Abrams is considered the best main battle tank in the world. It has been around for a long time, but over the years it has been repeatedly upgraded and has proven itself very effective in combat against Soviet and Russian-made tanks. There is every reason to believe that this machine significantly surpasses the ones currently deployed by the Russians and the ones currently deployed by the Ukrainians.
The Abrams is equipped with a powerful gas turbine engine, which allows it to move at high speeds and have high maneuverability. The tank's weaponry is capable of operating in both day and night firing modes. But the most important thing is the armor. It is extremely difficult to penetrate.
The Abrams does not have an autoloader, and the ammunition is stored outside the turret. Thus, the likelihood that a cumulative charge or some anti-tank weapon will hit this tank and blow it to pieces is practically nil.
There is another weapon that Ukrainians know about firsthand. This is the M109 Paladin, self-propelled howitzer. This artillery system has been operating on the front lines for several months now. Ukrainian defenders are very satisfied with the self-propelled howitzer, but it's important to remember that the US keeps the best for itself. The M109 is in Ukraine, but is it upgraded? The latest upgrade of the Paladin included a new howitzer with a barrel length of 58 calibers instead of 39. The modernization allows it to fire at a range of 70 kilometers. And what if it fires Excalibur rounds? Then the Russians will be in tears because the American self-propelled howitzer far exceeds the capabilities of the barrel artillery available in Russia. And this is just a small part of American power that we've talked about. Let's not forget about the most important element, the missiles. To talk about them, we would need more than one program. If you're interested in hearing about the latest and greatest American missiles, be sure to write about it in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our new Arsenal channel so you don't miss all the most interesting content.